Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together first released for the Super Famicom in 1995. It was re-released the next year in 1996 for the Sega Saturn, and finally got a release that many of us know it for on the PS1 in North America in 1997. Great game. Some would say the pinnacle of the tactical RPG genre. That's why it's been released another 2 times after that. When we're looking for games like Tactics Ogre, we're looking for tactical RPG combat, probably grid-based, a ton of customization of characters through classes, skills, and we're looking for a great story and characters with a background of political drama. So let's jump straight into the first game. This might be an obvious one, but Tactics Ogre Knight of Lodis for the Game Boy Advance is the most similar game, but a lot of people don't even know it exists. This is a prequel game that has a lot of juicy details about the world set from the perspective of a Knight of Lodis. An absolute must-play for anyone that considers themselves a fan of Tactics Ogre. For a GBA game, it's actually pretty long too. It's like 40 hours of game, so find a way to play it any way that you can. Final Fantasy Tactics is the foil to Tactics Ogre in a lot of ways. It was made by a lot of the same staff that worked on Tactics Ogre, so it makes sense that they'd be so similar. For the most part, everything you liked from Tactics Ogre is here, especially in the gameplay. The biggest difference is in the choices you can make, with Final Fantasy Tactics being much more linear, but definitely pick this one up if you enjoyed Tactics Ogre. It is being remastered, so you can pick it up on September 30th, 2025 for all modern consoles and PC, or you could play an older version on PSP or PS1. Triangle Strategy is the modern take on the Tactics formula and does a good job of this with some nice quality of life added and a good quality story. It also has some choices that you can make that actually affect the story in a significant way. There's a lot of political maneuvering that takes place in the game, and the combat feels really good, actually. It definitely wears its inspiration on its sleeve, clearly being inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre. You can get Triangle Strategy on Nintendo Switch and Steam. It'd be hard to talk about tactical RPGs without talking about Fire Emblem, the longest running series in the genre, and for good reason. Fire Emblem Awakening has a lot of the mechanics that people love from the series in one place. Because of that, I would probably recommend it as the starting point for the series. It's just the kind of the better overall game, but you couldn't go wrong starting with the more modern Fire Emblem Three Houses or Path of Radiance for the GameCube. Regardless of where you choose to start, Fire Emblem is a solid choice for any fan of Tactics Ogre, often adding a bit more focus on relationships between the characters. Fire Emblem Awakening is on the Nintendo 3DS. Vandal Hearts takes the tactical RPG genre in an interesting direction with a bit of a darker story. It still has all of the aspects of Tactics Ogre that I love, political intrigue, the deep combat mechanics, but in some ways it's a bit easier to go through. It's more linear, there aren't as many classes to choose from, and characters only have a few choices of those that they can pick. Vandal Hearts is a bit more of a personal story, focusing on Ash Lambert and his journey to unravel conspiracies, rebellions, and to stay alive. A very underrated game. And it has a sequel that is also very good, and Vandal Hearts 2. Highly recommended. You can play both Vandal Hearts games on the PS1. Shining Force is one of my favorite series of all time and is on this list because it has some great tactical RPGs. For me, Shining Force 1 is how I got invested in the genre to begin with. It takes a bit of a different route from many other tactical RPGs in that outside of combat, it plays out like a normal JRPG. You can walk around towns, explore, and even find hidden characters. Shining Force 2 is the shining light of the series and does everything the first one did but better. There's also a third game that is hugely ambitious, which has 3 different parts, 2 of which were never translated officially, but do have fan translations. There are a ton of side stories for Sega handhelds as well, but I would start with the original Shining Force for the Sega Genesis. We're going to delve a bit deeper into some more obscure titles here, starting with the Farland series. It's a massive series full of tactical RPG games. 8 of which have fan translations. I would actually recommend watching one of the videos in the Basement Brothers PC88 series to get a better idea for whether you would like to try the games. I'll link to one of those videos in the description box. Be careful not to buy them on Steam unless you know Japanese, because while there are 2 available on Steam, they don't have official English translations. The last game I'll recommend is one of the last games published by Enix for the NES, a game called Just Breed. Yes, I know, a fantastic title for a fantastic game. As an NES game, you can expect it to be a bit more basic, but it is surprisingly well done for a tactical game on the NES. It unfortunately does not have an official English translation, but does have a fan translation. Just Breed is definitely one of those hidden gem tactical RPGs that most people have never heard of, but it's well worth checking out. So that's all the games I have for today that are like Tactics Ogre. Hopefully now you have a good place to start looking for similar games. There are of course other games that are similar, and if you have any other suggestions, feel free to mention them in the comments. I make videos on JRPGs, Western RPGs, and story-based games, so if you like those, subscribe. Thanks for watching.